I can play with someone else.
He says...
Zook does whatever the mental telepathy version of laughing out loud is.
Khalil came in here before these crimes were committed, standing right where you're standing now, threw the badge of the Wallwalkers in my face, through the entire lifetime he had built himself. You're not there to argue.
No, Bricker, that's not how it went down. I threw the badge. I threw the badge off into the the ocean.
I know.
That's not how he sees it.
Are you running the game?
No.
Are you trapped in a demi plane with fan fiction?
Yeah.
Okay. He says,
by the way, chat. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Never before in my tenure here as Null have I seen someone throw away their entire life, everything they believe, in a second of what I can only assume to be wanderlusts. I hold you responsible for that at some measure. If there's any possibility that Khalil can redeem himself, that he can come back and stand tall and fight the accusations against him, and if you have the opportunity to help him do that, you should take it.
Well, thank you for your time. I'll be leaving.
And he waves you away. No, but yeah, to clarify with chat, Khalil threw his badge into the ocean, and then it was retrieved by somebody.
Yeah. He threw it into the ocean dramatically while the sun set, while Don't You Forget About Me played in the background.
Oh, no, it was the end of Top Gun. Which was a different song.
Anywho, once Zook and Tarin are out on the street, Zook just sort of looks up at Tarin and mutters, "Asshole."
I see where Khalil gets it from.
I'm just sitting there.
And Zook is gonna communicate to Tarin his basically what I said earlier, his idea of like, let's try to meet with one of his with some of the underlings, because I bet that with some of these, Khalil can probably let us know someone we can try to make contact with.
Sure, okay. Again, I'd still like to catch the actual bastard and turn him in instead. Here's your Khalil. That's my plan.
Well, my plan is to go back to my contacts and see if I can't hire myself an assassin, but that's something I have to do alone.
Okay, so what are the plans for the next day or so? Going down the list.
That evening, I want to go back to the bar and try to do a little bit better job of getting information.
Not from her.
Oh, really? She won't talk to me about it anymore? Okay.
She's still a very pleasant conversationalist, but...
Alright, fair enough. I'll see what I can do to make contacts with someone else in the bar then.
Okay, so Zook's next plan is to try to hire an assassin. What is Arik's next plan?
I think just generally accompany Tarin on as he tries to get information.
Okay.
I think he's done in Kiska, otherwise, yeah.
Is anyone going to go talk to Ravenhair during the day?
She doesn't have information on Khalil. She has information on cults.
Right. Okay. So I guess we're just focusing on Khalil for now. So that's fine.
Okay. So, well, Eldove's not going to be focusing on Khalil. I know Eldove is in cult mode. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. Do you want to go to talk to Ravenhair? I'll go with you if it's during the day.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. And you find her little library.
I like how you didn't ask for Khalil's input.
Khalil's in
You're in a
demi-plane.
demi-plane. I gave you the opportunity to leave, and you stayed put. You wanted to read the fanfiction.
Did Destil ever come back after that?
He can only go in once a day. It's up to Destil what he tells you.
My plans is to spend the rest of the day in the low ward actually buying stuff for the demi-plane, buy some actual books, get some better food and water, and then we'll go in and I'll drop that stuff off at night and we'll see about this contact.
Okay. So that night,
Idea
you
of Zooks.
swing by Khalil for a dinner So Khalil, yeah, you have Tarin in front of you. He's holding higher quality dog food in one hand and Zook in the other.
Don't get him confused.
He brought you one of those water bottles that hangs from the ceiling and a reel to run in.
And a giant hamster wheel. Yes.
Do we really need him in the demiplane at this point?
Do you trust this city do you trust A, Khalil, and B, the city?
No and no.
Fair point, Captain. Fair point.
Well,
Does Tarin give Khalil an update on what you said to Nalzahur?
Yeah, I'll tell you about the conversation and then bring up Zook's idea of finding someone who had served with you
Then
to have
why?
any leads.
Okay.
happening.
To a man named Amir. Thank you. Fantasy name generator.
So he's named after the space station?
With an A in front of it.
With an A, okay.
Yeah.
Like your best bro, your partner in crime partner in justice back in the day.
More or less, one that I did a lot of rounds with. Probably, if he's still stationed in the same place, you'll find him at some point in the Slaver's Ward.
Should we just speak to him on our own, or do you think that this is someone that we would need to arrange a meeting between you and him?
I'm not comfortable with letting the wall walkers know where this demiplane is. In fact, my modus operandi for this thing is to cast the spell, go through the door, and then wait for the door to disappear before I leave, so that no one else can get into it without me seeing them.
My suggestion was going to be to see if Khalil wanted to try to meet him on neutral turf somewhere, perhaps on the dock somewhere.
That's up to Khalil.
Or if you'd feel more confident with us just talking to him.
I'd rather see him face to face.
I mean, tomorrow I can plane shift all of us into the demiplane and then open the door from the inside.
Khalil, you know there's very little chance that one of the wall walkers is going to willingly enter a demiplane.
Yeah.
That's probably not going to happen. Unless you kidnap him and bring him here in a sack. It's unlikely to happen.
My worry is if Khalil gets spotted in town. But I don't know if it'd be worth trying to get him to meet with this guy.
Burkhardt, I'm going to write up a note for them to pass to Amir.
Okay.
I'll send that to you in an IM shortly.
Okay.
And what's the instruction? Just to give him this note?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So let's do Ravenhair next. Who is going to go talk to Muriel Ravenhair?
I believe me and Eldove were.
That sounds right.
Okay, you find her in a little library. Quaint, small little building, 2 stories. The bottom story is the library proper. The up story is her quarters where she stays. It seems to be a private dwelling. She doesn't maintain a shop here. She doesn't actively buy or sell books with the public. She does trade with collectors and things. And you make an arrangement to meet her there. And she has refreshments waiting when you both arrive. She's very, very amused at the sight of Zook. And so she's a beautiful elven woman, but you very stark black streak of hair, where the rest of her hair is a very muted sandy blonde. She's got one very dark streak going down it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how attractive is Eldove to her?
That's up to Eldove.
Yeah.
And she welcomes you both and asks what it is that she can do for you.
Zook, this is your show.
I was to understand that you had an interest and had done some research into religious fanatics in the area.
She says, my primary interest are the dead cults of the Witch Kings, some of which persist in some form or fashion to today.
We're interested specifically in one that is likely to still be active today, operating somewhere along the coastline area.
She nods. She says, you speak of the cults of If.
Yes, I do.
That's the name we've heard, yeah.
She says, there's not a lot of published information, published material about this cult. It's not very powerful. They don't seem to wield much in the form of power. They don't do active recruitment in the larger cities. You won't find a foothold of them here in Kiska. She says, my understanding is they keep mostly to the coastal villages, up the coast of Romneus, and into the mountains to the north.
Do you happen to know where they would have a more centralized operation? Any sort of a keep?
She shakes her head. She says, if there was one, I would know of it.
And what sort of activities are you aware of them? You know, we've heard some rumors. What sort of activities have you heard about them performing these days?
She says, well, there's no secret. They killed the princess last year. A very, very tragic incident. One of them was... It's my understanding that one of them was brought back to the city, but before he was able to stand trial, he was spirited away on a ship. He said, to us they're known as sand cloaks.
Is Zook wearing his sandy cloak at this time?
I would not be wearing that unless I had need to. Usually, generally keep it in my bag. I'm in my normal sort of muted dark colors. I think what do you know of any way to make contact with this group?
Because that's a very dangerous proposition.
Well, we understand that they're a very dangerous group, and might be good for the area if someone were to find out more about them.
So what is it you're looking to find out?
Primarily, they have they seem to be maybe more active lately. If they, what sort of leadership there might be where their base of operation is at. I know you said that you're not aware of any, but we have reason to believe there might be one now.
She says it does seem that the activity has grown as of late. For example, this particular cult has done nothing so bold as to assassinate a member of the royal family until just last year. So I don't have any first-hand knowledge, you understand, but my theory is that there is some kind of upheaval within the ranks of the cult. Something has shaken it up to re-centralize its power in a particular place by a particular person. Perhaps the deity that they revere has grown more power or less powerful, or... And she shrugs. She says, it's always a muddy area when you're dealing with the gods.
Eldove, do you have anything?
I honestly, no. Like, as far as Eldove is concerned, the next step of this investigation is to go kill all the cultists.
Right. So yeah. So again, and Zook will be saying this to her now. So again, because of their increased activity, we're looking to we are trying to find out more about where they're operating out of, and if there's any way to find a way to locate them.
She thinks for a moment. She says, I may be able to point you in a particular direction. I may be able to give you your next step. But I'm curious as to the nature of your curiosity. Why are you looking into this cult? What business of it is yours?
Well, I was part of the party that originally went out to investigate the murder of the princess, and continuing along that investigation and others.
And she looks over at Eldove and says, "You as well?"
Mm-hmm.
She says, "Whatever became of the assassin?"
I don't go on the ship much. I'm not really sure. I think he was executed. I'm going to look kind of questioningly at Zook.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was executed.
She
Can't
nods
imagine why
and
he
she
would have
says,
been.
"Well, then it was a just end."
Well, we're investigating who, we have no reason to believe that he was at the top of the food chain. We're trying to investigate who sent him and why.
She goes over to one of her bottom shelves and retrieves a book. Very slim book with a black ribbon coming out of the pages. She says, "I managed to acquire this." And she comes back to you with it and holds it out. The side of the book is locked with a silver clasp. So I haven't been able to open it. But I believe this book, at one point, belonged to a man named Yorxis. Yorxis was a powerful magician, known to some of the guild leaders here in Kiska, especially at the Arcanists Guild. Because I believe he's dead, and this book is what remains of him. He hands it over. She hands it over.
That seems likely, because I've never known a magician to want to be parted from their books.
She says, "Quite right, and as a magician myself, we will discuss the payment. What can you offer me in return for this tome?"
Well, she handed the book over, right?
Yeah, so
So I'm going to open it up and kind of look through it.
You can't, it's locked with a silver clasp.
If we find a way to open up this tome, would the information of what's inside be payment enough?
She says, "Yorxis was very interested in dragons in particular. And some among the learned magicians in Kiska believe that Ith, rather than being a god from another plane, is an extremely ancient dragon." She says, "If that's true, then this book could hold secrets that you require."
Okay. What I'm asking is, you obviously haven't been able to open this lock. I assume it's somehow magically protected?
She says, "Yes, and the magic is beyond me."
If we were to figure out a way to open this book, would that alone be payment? Because we would get the information we need and then return the book to you, I assume.
She thinks for a moment. Then she nods. That would be sufficient.
Okay. Well, then we'll try our best to find some method of removing this lock, and after we have finished our investigation, we'll return the book to you so you can have it and be able to read what's inside of it. Does that seem fair to you, Eldove?
Seems reasonable.
Okay.
Okay, and so you leave the book with her?
No. We need
take
the
it?
book to be able to.
Where
We
are you
can't
going
unlock
to
it if we don't have the book.
Where are you
Yeah,
going
yeah.
to take it?
Back to
Um,
Tarin.
Yeah.
I figure we're gonna get our priest, our warlock, and our sorcerer together and try to crack this bitch.
And,
Okay.
and your thief. And your thief.
Thieves don't know shit about locks.
Hey, I have a spell of I have a scroll of knock. That might work.
So, Khalil, do you want me to go ahead and read out this note that you've written? Or are you keeping the secret for some reason?
Oh, yeah, I suppose you can read it out.
Okay. So, Tarin, or whoever, Khalil hands you a note that he wrote. It says, "You know the truth of my character and honor, and I would never act as my impostor has. I would speak with you. Seek out Captain Tarin, off duty and in secret. I want to walk the streets of my homeland a free man. One day after you speak with him, Captain Tarin will bring me to you. I want you to arrest me. I trust you more than others, more loyal to the Gnome." And that's the note that you get handed.
Okay, so
Who should that go to?
Who did you hand it to, Khalil?
Tarin.
Tarin? Okay.
So I'm going to the slavers ward and looking for a wall walker named Amir.
Amir.
Yes.
Alright, I'll do that the following day.
And it's easy enough to find him. I mean, you ask around. His beat still takes him along the walls of the slavers ward. His particular post is at the gate between slavers ward and Low Harbor, which is one of the more traversed gates in the city. But you managed to find him and get the note into his hand. Do you say anything to him when you hand it off?
No, I'll just give it to him and see how he responds.
Or he doesn't read it right away. If you hand it to him and don't say anything, he just pockets it for the time being.
Huh, okay, yeah, then I'll just head back to the bar I've been at in Low Harbor.
Okay. That night, Amir finds you at the bar when he's off duty. And he's got a very concerned look on his face. He comes over to the table where you're sitting. Who's with Tarin at this point?
Oh, I am. I'm
Arik.
getting drunk.
Getting crunk? Okay. So Arik's already 3 sheets to the wind. He would sit
Zook is
down.
going to be doing his own thing.
Amir would sit down at the table where you're at, except Arik is dancing on top of it, topless.
I'm not that drunk.
Oh, okay, okay.
Drunk
Because
enough.
you said
I
drunk.
did, but I didn't realize I was going to make me a 19-year-old schoolgirl in college for the first time.
You should be careful with your words.
Priest's
Arik's
gone
like,
wild.
spring break, woo! Amir comes over to the table, sits down, and his voice is very low. He just asks you, "Where is Khalil?"
Arik chuckles a little bit. Where indeed?
There's a mathematical answer to that question.
Jesus, Arik. He gives you a nasty look. And Tarin says, "What?"
There's a mathematical answer to that question.
He says, "What does that mean?"
He's someplace secure, but again, he wanted you to talk to me, and in particular, apparently, you to meet him alone.
He says, "Did he do these things?"
I don't believe so. I think he was in a different part of the world. I was there at the time. Given that he told me to talk to you, I have a feeling you don't believe so either.
So I don't know what I believe in regards to Khalil. Because I believe that we would be walking the wall together our whole lives. Only we took a vow, an oath, that only death would end our service.
Arik busts out laughing at that.
Jesus.
Death. Ah.
He looks over and he's like, "What's the matter with your priest? Did he resurrect a drow or something?"
I just imagine that at this point, Arik is like eating what's left of his jam with his bare hand, just for like comfort. Just
He's sticking a fat finger down in the thing, just scraping it out of the sides.
Eldove, I need you to cast creation on this jam. I need a 5x4 cube of jam.
Made out of shadow stuff. It's hard to digest shadow stuff. It's like Olestra. Never mind.
There's no more jam in the Shadowfell. It's all gone. They're like, what the fuck? Where did all our jam go? God damn wizards.
So Amir asks, "Where does Khalil want me to meet him? Where does he want to speak?"
Didn't actually tell me that, did he?
He did not.
Do the wall walkers still hold no control over the docks?
Very little, especially in High Harbor. And remember, that
High
was
Harbor,
a
then.
point of some contention with Nal Zahir last time you
Yep.
were here.
Yep. High Harbor.
He nods. He says, "Is he prepared to face whatever comes next?"
Tarin will just sort of sigh and look into his drink and say, "More so than he should be."
He says, "Khalil never understood the courts in the city. He never understood the concept of corruption. He always believed that an accusation meant that the party was guilty and that punishment was just.
You're telling me.
But I've watched unjust executions in Kiska. I've seen people locked in dungeons for far too long. I've seen innocent people rot.
So what can you tell me about the investigation of the man who claims to be Khalil in this city?
I can tell you his physical description doesn't match Khalil's. I believe he wears a disguise. I know that he has Khalil's Wallwalker's badge that was once sewn into his cloak. He uses one of our swords. I don't know how he got it. I know most of the crimes are centralized in Slaver's Ward, the Market Ward, the Low Harbor, in and around the arena.
Do you think the courts would find this evidence to be adequate, or do you think this is another case of corruption?
I don't know of any forces in Kiska that would want that bear Khalil any ill will. I don't know that he's made any enemies within the walls. That being said, these murders have been going on for some time, and the population may leap at any chance to see justice done.
Any idea how you could find the man responsible? Or I take it if you did, you'd probably have already done so yourself.
Believe me, we've been trying.
Anything that I can try, since I'm not a member of the wall markers?
That depends on what methodology you have at your disposal. What are you proposing?
Well, I was hoping at one point to falsify a request across the underworld to say that I needed an assassin or just maybe some muscle for some sort of venturing work. I actually do that sometimes, so it might not entirely be unplausible, and say that I was particularly interested in Khalil's service. His reputation for ruthlessness and brutality, and I could just throw some magics on him and bring him into court, nice and easy.
He says I might be able to facilitate that.
Well, if you have any contacts, I'm more than willing to act as bait.
As you understand, I can't aid you with this openly.
Oh, I know.
A violation of everything I hold dear. But this is a extreme circumstance, I think you'll agree.
Quite. Believe me, it takes a lot to get me back into this god-awful city, no offense.
He says if the perpetrator knows that Khalil is in custody, if the arrest is made public, he may feel emboldened to respond to a call of opportunity, to take you up on your offer to hire him.
Do you have any channels I'd be able to get the offer through, or any suggestions where I should put it in with?
He gives you the name of a very seedy, low-quality tavern in the Low Ward. And he tells you, don't make any direct inquiries. Zook is there, right?
At this meeting?
I thought, was he there?
Well,
Arik's there. Eric's drunk.
I'm there,
That's
yeah.
right. Okay, I forgot. He looks over at the drunken priest. He says, if you can get your friend to sober up, the two of you can go to this bar, have a hushed conversation. Someone will hear you and someone will be in touch.
Excellent. And we should do this after you bring Khalil in.
He nods. He says that he'll see that Khalil is treated well while in custody, that he doesn't stand to be brutalized or executed without trial, but if they don't have the actual perpetrator of the acts, that his trial might be very swift and very decisive.
How swift?
Says the public is clamoring for closure on this issue. They want to see the fallen Wallwalker brought low.
I don't understand how fast bureaucracy moves in this city. Pardon, again, I'm a foreigner.
Says, well, sometimes it moves very quickly indeed. Sometimes it moves so slowly you can't even watch it.
Sounds like bureaucracy then. Guess I'm not so foreign.
He says, in this case, there is a very infrequently used bylaw that Word of the Jal can come down and hand a decision to the courts, which the court must then abide by. It hasn't been used openly in years. In this case, for this particular man, a man who investigated the murder of the Jal's daughter and then immediately turned on his town and began brutalizing his citizens, he says there's murmuring that such a decree might be in place. He says, from the time that I arrest Khalil, I would give you no more than 48 hours.
Alright.
He looks back over at Arik. Says, and before you go, make sure you sober that one up. And he stands up.
Being sober is overrated.
Arik, cast neutralize poison on yourself.
Eric's like, I don't want to, and you can't make me.
That's an order, sailor.
All right. It's preparing the spell right there on the table.
So before Amir leaves, he asks where he should arrange to meet Khalil tomorrow.
The farthest dock in High Harbor at the base of it.
Okay. So this dock right here.
I think
Right
you
here?
just tabbed it.
Yeah, that's where I just tapped.
That
Yep.
Okay, directly underneath the guild headquarters of the Wallwalkers.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Well, at least Khalil won't have long to walk. All right. So what else is happening today before the meeting with Khalil tomorrow?
Well, I was gonna go because I wasn't at that meeting. My plan was to go to my bar and ask around about a rogue wall walker who might be willing to do murder for hire.
Now, when you say your bar, you mean the guild headquarters?
Yeah.
And there's very little response to such open inquiries. In fact, when the barkeep gets wind of it, he just gives you this very knowing grin. But no, there's nobody in the Guild of Shadows that has any interest in your wanting to hire an assassin.
Sounds like you need a drunken buddy.
All right. Do Tarin and Khalil walk in?
Not into your bar, no.
They get Tarin and Nega Khalil.
Well, after striking out there, because Zook would probably figure out pretty quickly that the guild keeps a frickin' tight lid on that stuff, and fair enough, he might try to wander into a different low harbor bar and see if he can rustle up any more information out of them and out of someone.
Okay, bear with me just 1 second.
Why would you be able to hire an assassin at the head of the Guild of Shadows? That doesn't even make sense. I don't understand.
I'm pretty sure they're specifically not the Assassin's Guild. We've dealt with this before.
Well, it's more looking for information than like saying, "Hey, I want to hire an assassin."
They are and they aren't an assassin's guild. There are definitely assassins within the guild. Orphan.
Mm-hmm.
After a couple weeks of travel, you arrive at Zarazak.
Yep.
Did you bring anybody with you?
No. I left Iron Glove and Cerelia back at Dunfall, so it's just me. I think I would have sent the mercenaries from Khalil's group back home.
Okay. Then with another uneventful journey, I mean, you have to fight off some goblins at one point, but when do you ever have to not fight off goblins?
Right.
Give me just 1 second to open up my Zarazak file here so I know who all the peoples are.
Get some PTSD from the tower. It's the usual thing when goblins come up.
Orphan doesn't have a lot of PTSD from that tower.
Well, aren't you just Little Miss Awesome?
Okay, so when Orphan arrives, I mean, you make yourself known at the quarters. They are delighted to have you again.
Alright, yeah, she said I came to came to repay some of my debt. Where might I go to have my my stories transcribed?
I have her name here somewhere. Dahin, the seneschal of the quarters. Yeah, and she's delighted for you to fill the sensory stones they have with your stories.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll give him the story of the epic struggle at the Yurok village, and I'll also give him the story of the Drow prince who was cut down in battle with the Illithids.
Okay. Do you include in that story how the Drow prince came back to life?
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, and those stories are added to the repertoire at the quarters. Dahin is particularly very intrigued by the story of how your priest companion revived a Drow prince. What is... Like, does Orphan give her her particular take on the story? Does she give her particular feelings about the matter?
No, but she does. She is able to give more of the story than others could because she knows about, with the double dealings that the Drow were trying to had in mind.
With the commands, the geese spell?
Right, with the geese, yeah. Okay. But no, otherwise, Orphan doesn't really have any particular feelings on this one way or the other.
Okay.
She doesn't mention the parts about Arvin though, because she feels a little bit guilty about that. I mean, no, not Arvin. What was our alchemist name?
Evander,
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
She doesn't.
that guy.
She doesn't go into the whole backstory about Evander and the Dragon Tower. That she's kind of sounds like it might be related, but she doesn't include that stuff.
But she doesn't know. Okay. Dahin is very excited at the story because she doesn't have very many stories about first-hand encounters with Drow. Even the monastery is this deep in the mountains. Even here, they don't have much. They don't have any contact with Drow. Really, they don't have much contact with the Underdark, which is technically just underneath them a mile or two.
Well, they have contact with the Flumphs. Flumphs, I guess, are technically Underdark.
That's true. They have an entrance to the Underdark on the mountain here, but it's not used very often. But they don't have dark elves or dark dwarves pouring out. They do get visits from the Bald Kingdom. I like that we're calling it the Bald Kingdom now. That's fine.
But that was actually the name of the place.
The name of the leader.
The name of the king is Wilgum the Bald.
I thought they actually called it the Bald Kingdom when I talked to them.
They might have. I don't... But we can just call it. That's fine. It's better than whatever name I was using. Yeah. In fact, Cleric Copperhat, the envoy from the Bald Kingdom, is visiting.
What kingdom was this? I don't remember this at all.
Wilgum the Bald is a gnomish king that lives in the Underdark. A kingdom of deep gnomes.
Okay. Right, gotcha.
Yeah, they originally commissioned the magical grenades that you all had so much fun with in the Goblin Tower.
Yeah.
And one of his emissaries, Cleric, was in the monastery that you came and met him the first time. And then, in turn, he had dealings with the illusionist that you ended up meeting later.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you mentioned that there were the underground gnomes, I remember this now.
Yeah.
The ones that are fighting the mind flayers that we keep ignoring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The kingdom, the Bald Kingdom, is one of the kingdoms that are fighting the armies of mind flayers and their monsters in the Underdark. And what you heard from the Drow that you spoke to is that, from their perspective, it's very naive of them to be seeking aid for this conflict in the Sunlit Lands. They don't think that they will find any aid for them. And they might be right. As far as you know, Cleric has not had any luck. But he is here in the monastery. Either coming or going, nobody's sure, but...
Oh, Cleric is?
Yes. He's either on his way back home or on his way out on a missive, but nobody's sure. He likes to stop at the monastery here when he comes around. It's free.
I'll go say hi to him then.
It's hard to see him because he's behind his beard and hair. And he sees you approach. And he remembers you. I mean, did Orphan have a long conversation with Cleric? I remember Zook did.
Zook, yeah. Orphan was doing other stuff at the time. I think Orphan, knew the the gnomish wizard more than anybody, better than anybody else in that village.
And when you sit down next to Cleric,
Mhm.
do you say anything, or do you let him?
Yeah, I'll greet him. Ask how things going. How Kelfiz is.
How Kelfiz is?
Yeah, how's Kelfiz doing?
Well, he wouldn't know Kelfiz. He knew Zilbus. Zilbus was the illusionist. Kelfiz was the one who wanted your snot.
Right. So okay.
Yeah, Kelfiz was a forest gnome.
Oh, I'm think I'm getting some of these gnomes confused.
I don't know how you're getting gnomes confused. I mean, it's no, I'm getting gnomes confused. I have the notes in front of me. No, when just to recap, the first time you guys were at the monastery and Zook was speaking to Cleric, he accused Zook because Zook is a forest gnome.
He was the crazy guy. I remember
Yes,
this now.
he accused Zook of being in cahoots with Zilbus.
Okay, yeah, I don't care about this guy. Like I thought
Kind of is.
I thought we were talking about Zilbus.
Oh no, Zilbus is not here. This is Cleric.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
Then I'm not going to give this Cleric. I
No
barely
problem.
know him.
Yeah, Zilbus was the one who bailed you all out of the laundry golem situation.
Don't get me wrong, Zilbus is also crazy.
I like Sylvan.
Um,
Well, don't get me wrong, Tarin's also crazy.
So once the sensory stones are finished recording, I'll ask. God, I've lost your name again. It's right here. It's Diane. I'll ask Diane if how progress on the commission that I made is going.
I forget. How long ago did you make this commission?
Let's see. It was before we went on the raid. So this was like during our last bit of downtime before
Okay.
the entire raid stuff going on.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know how long all those preparations took, but I got the sense it was a while.
In that case, the commission is complete. The tapestry is complete. It's a smaller version of the same one that they have hanging. Or was it hanging from the rafter, or was it painted on the wall? I don't remember now. I think it was, hanging.
Is it still there, or is it now in Kefos's place?
No, he had a different one.
Oh, okay.
So I'll thank her for that, and then I'll ask her also if it would be possible if there's anybody at the monastery who I could get to cast Ascending for me.
None of the monks are able to. But we'll say there's a low-level mage that can offer you the service of sending a word. Well, what's the goal of this? Who are you trying to send and where?
The goal is I'm trying to contact Eldove and get him to bring me either to where he is or to the Blue Warming Land, whichever is most convenient for wherever Eldove is at the moment.
Okay. Well, let's say this then. The Flumphs, the Dream Seers, at your request, can perform a ritual that mimics the dream spell.
Okay.
Eldove, you have a very friggin' strange dream that night that involves flying jellyfish and swirls of color, and then Orphan shows up.
Orphan?
Eldove, we got through. How are things going with you?
Eldove looks around. They're fine.
How's progress going on you were researching the cult? The sand cults?
Yeah, I mean, we found out they're a cult, for sure. As far as I can tell, we've gotten roughly about to where we started, which was, hey, let's go kill a cult.
Sounds about right. Listen,
How's everything going with you? Did the orphanage seem good?
I have my doubts, but Iron Glove seemed very firm on the matter, so I'll leave it to her. Listen, I wondered if there's anything that you need from me. I thought that now that my business here is concluded, I might rejoin you all. Where are you now?
Right now we're still in Kiska. I think there's something going on with Khalil. I mean, I'm not too interested in it.
I'm sure he can take care of himself, whatever it is.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
But about the cult thing, I'd like to help you get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been there, so somebody who could act as a captain would be very useful at the moment. We could go over there and we could scout it out.
Now,
I mean, Tarin doesn't seem too interested.
this whole conversation is taking place inside of Eldove's dream, which means you guys are conversing at the foot of a 500-foot tall tower of Eldove rubbing his own nipples.
It's more like a Matryoshka doll. Like, every few moments while you're talking to Eldove, Eldove splits apart and another Eldove pops out and just grows to normal Eldove size.
Perfect. Orphan, it's the most unsettling thing you've ever seen in your life. And you're thinking maybe it's the result of, like, this man has died twice and come back, and maybe his brain didn't all come back with him.
Yeah. Whether you, if either you or Tarin can figure out some way to get me over there, that would be nice. Because I'm a little bit stuck. I can go back to the Blue Roaming Inn, but that's about it.
I think I have something from the monastery somewhere around here, and he rummages around in his own thoughts.
He has the 500-pound stone sword. You're carrying that in your inventory, right?
No, I think we left that, like, at the ranger's house. Like, they can just... Whoever the new ranger is can just fucking deal with that.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I'll come pick you up. Where is the ship right now, Breck?
Where do you need it to
Tarin?
be? I can put it at sea outside of Kiska. It can be up and down the shores of Dunfoss. I mean, you guys, as far as I'm concerned, you guys have ascending spell. You can give them instructions to be wherever you need it to be.
Literally anywhere. Probably wherever the closest... I forget, where's the place that we're looking into? Where's the cult?
Along the... There's
Cult
not...
was-
Yeah, they're along the coast of Romneus, but I don't actually have the name of any coastal cities there, but...
Yeah.
You can put them to dock in one of those
often,
cities.
they're in the direction of that pirate cove, I remember.
They're actually in the
only
opposite
thing
direction.
Oh, they're
Basically,
okay.
the city that's closest to that, because I can teleport to any of the major cities we've been to relatively easily.
Yes.
So we can just pop in at the closest one to there and then take the ship the rest of the way. So, yeah, I'm going to, once I wake up, go tell Tarin about the new plans.
Okay. So, we're going to put everybody back in Kiska then. What do you tell Balin and Swent to do with the ship? Do you want the ship docked in Kiska?
Has
that's the
Eldove told
close-
me anything yet, or?
Yeah, I'm telling you. You're the only one who can get in contact with them, so...
Yeah, Kiska's good. I think that is, as far as we know, we sail up the coast. Where is Fred right now?
If you need him, you can have him.
I just want to know where he is.
Kind of
What-
left him in a horrible tiefling town.
Well, no, he could. I mean, obviously he hooked a ride with whoever teleported out. I just don't know where he went after that.
Well, if you guys don't specifically ask for Fred, he's got business he can tend to at the inn.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, he's a bard.
What does he
man.
do at the inn?
Plays music for visitors.
Yeah.
Has sex
We
with all
can-
the sweet honeys
we
that are
can-
traveling through.
We can get a level 1 bar to play music at the inn. Fred is too rad to be our
Probably
fucking
could.
entertainment.
But nobody's requested his presence until now, so...
I just always assume he's back on the pirate ship if we don't do anything else, but I guess we didn't specify that rendezvous.
Yeah,
I
nobody...
always just picture Fred's having sweet adventures without us.
No, Fred would never do that.
Like Fred and Cube are off roaming in the mountains, killing goblins for no good reason.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna dock the ship here in Kiska, and Orphan is retrieved. So this is the day, and I know the timeline doesn't fit here, but I just don't care about it anymore. We're just gonna simplify everything. This is the day that Khalil is supposed to meet with Amir.
Okay. So I'm gonna open up the demo plane.
So, just so I'm clear, the plan is for he's going to turn himself in, and then while he's in custody, we're going to try and get this guy to show himself.
Yes.
Because he
Right.
doesn't know
Yeah.
that the
We're
real
gonna go to
Khalil's
the
in
inn.
custody.
That the three of us are gonna go to the inn that Amir told us about, and we're going to talk amongst ourselves about trying to hire someone and our difficulties in finding someone to hire to do these things. That it would be great if we could have gotten Khalil, but unfortunately, it seems like they just caught the man we had come all the way to Kiska for. So I'm going to open up the demiplane, and I'm going to make Khalil invisible and myself.
Okay.
And then we're going to bring him to where we're supposed to have the rendezvous.
All of my personal effects, except for the non-magical sword that I still have, are going to be left in the demiplane.
Okay.
Do you want? Are any of us accompanying you on this? Like, I know you guys are invisible. Do you want us positioned like around there, or?
Well, I can make 3 people. No, I can make 4 people invisible, so I can make us all invisible.
It's going to be difficult
my
having a
opinion
conversation with Amir if you're all invisible.
Well, I'll break the invisibility as soon as we get within sight. I just don't want anyone else to apprehend him along the way.
Got you. So yeah, you get whoever is anybody not going along for this, or do we have all 6 of you going?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay. And Amir, you find him at the appointed place down here at the High Harbor docks, and Tarin makes himself known. And Amir sees Khalil congeal into existence in front of him, and he gives you a very dour look. Where is the
Bad
ship?
business,
Which
old
harbor?
friend.
The harbor?
Low harbor.
Low harbor? Okay.
Low, I'm not going to pay High Harbor. That was 300 gold a day.
It was.
High harbor prices are fucking insane. I'll teleport the ship somewhere else.
And Amir places you under arrest. Claps you in
Good
irons.
old friend. Bad business indeed.
He looks over at Tarin as he begins to take Khalil away. He says, I'm not allowed to tell you that the Nodal is planning to search your vessel. And then he takes Khalil away.
And I'll ask you, do I really want to freak this guy out by talking to him in his mind? When does that ever stop, Tarin?
Eldove
And I'll
looks
ask him
over.
to his mind, does he have the authority to do that?
And he stops walking. And into your mind, he responds, he will find some pretense. And then he tells you, in no uncertain terms, move the ship out of the harbor.
Thank you. And I'll immediately do a sending to Balin and tell him to get out of the Keyskin waters immediately.
And Balin does. Within a few minutes, they're ready to set sail. They move out of Low Harbor, and you leave Nal Zahur with blue balls. Khalil,
Good.
you have been down to the dungeons many times in your life, meting out punishment, justice to the guilty of Kiska. This is the first time you've been on the receiving end of it. The cells are black and damp. The one you're being taken to, underneath the main tower, out in this little inlet. Do you say anything as Amir is taking you down? Because he's silent. He is just walking you down.
Is there? I'm sure there are others in earshot. Yes.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to speak and not be overheard.
Nope. I'm saying nothing at this point. The less this guy knows, the better.
Okay. Then yeah, you're taken down into the dungeons. All of your weapons and personal effects are stripped from you.
Like I said, the only thing aside from my clothing that they would have would be my old sword.
And then it is with great disgusts that the 2 guards that are tasked with disarming you remove the sword from your person. They give you looks of betrayal.
Believe
you're put-
what you want.
You tell them believe what they want.
Yes.
One of them
The
responds, kind of
truth
snippy.
will out.
He says, "We believe in Kiska. What do you believe in?"
I believe in the same.
He just spits on the ground. Amir takes you into one of the lower levels, puts you in a cell with no windows and no light. After he turns the key, he raises himself up and gazes through a slot in the door. And he says in a very low voice, he says, your friends have 48 hours. And then he leaves you there. And now you don't even have the fan fiction to keep you company.
Fuck.
It's like it was just starting to get good.
It was just starting to get good, too, yeah.
What's really good is that Khalil has actually, he enjoyed it so much, he started to write fan fiction of the fan fiction.
Oh god, and that's gonna be a great movie deal? Sweet.
Eldove turns over to Tarin on the walk back. He's like, wait, so our plan was to let them arrest Khalil? Because that didn't work well for us last time.
No, I talked with Khalil's... The wall walker Khalil said he would trust the most. He said that once it was known that Khalil was under arrest, the imposter might become more bold, and that if we were to be overheard talking about our frustrations and not being able to hire him as a muscle or a ruthless thug enforcer at a specific bar, we might be able to get in contact with him. I'd suggest those of us who did not go to the sand cloud holdout out in the wilderness and thus wouldn't be recognized as his companions from earlier.
By the
Go
by,
do that.
was there much pomp and circumstance made about my arrest?
Very little.
Really? Okay.
I mean, the Null himself didn't make an appearance, if that's what you're asking. I mean, they took your personal effects, they put you down. I mean, they don't have any cause to read you rights or anything.
Yeah.
He very unceremoniously
Hold on,
clapped you in irons. You got the sense that Amir was trying to avoid pomp and circumstance. Like, he did
Okay.
not want to make a spectacle of it.
Yeah.
And that was all over the mind link when Eldove asked.
Yeah, obviously.
But I think that's me, Eldove, and Arik are the ones who didn't go out to the Sandcloak hideout.
I wasn't there either.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think the four of us should go to that inn and make with the plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to take a short break. It is 8 o'clock. Let me open up the chat here. When we come back, I'm going to do the meeting at the tavern regarding the assassination, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
So let's take 15 or 20 minutes.